This is the Outdoor Journey Show, where life takes you outdoors. The Outdoor Journey Show with Matt Gaddis and Ty Morgan, brought to you by Journey Hunts and the Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation.
Matt Gaddis and Ty Morgan, welcome back to the Outdoor Journey Show. You know, today we're talking about how to choose an outfitter, and we have with us this morning an outfitter that finds himself in what I believe is the most competitive segment of the entire outfitting industry in North America, which is the whitetail industry. Not only is the whitetail industry the toughest industry out there, but he is in this industry in the heart of Illinois, which to me is the heart of whitetail country. I believe that Doug Benefield is as good as they get out there in whitetail hunts and whitetail operations, and his operation, Illinois Connection, which, by the way, I've personally been to, I've personally experienced, is as classy and as quality of a whitetail outfit as you're going to find in this country. Doug, welcome to the show.
Good morning. Good to have you.
Doug, tell us something. Tell us a little bit about how you got started in the outfitting industry, and what is it that makes Illinois Connection so special?
It's kind of a long story, but yeah, I'll cut to the chase. Years ago, I'm a professional game caller, and and competing with turkey calling and everything. I had my own syndicated show and traveled out to Illinois on a turkey hunt, and it was just, I fell in love with the place. I mean, it was unbelievable. And I met this farmer, and this farmer was already, briefly outfitting, so I booked a hunt with him. It was hilarious. And, my wife's like, "You've got to be kidding me. You're going to pay how much to hunt?" And I tell you, it was probably, I guess, the best and the worst case ever I could have done because, I live in Georgia half the year, and the other half I live in Illinois. And I did not realize how much money I was actually spending, in the state of Georgia and Alabama to run and hunt all these leases. And then you're dealing with all the politics of people messing with your stands. And so I finally got to the point where, I'd book a 5-day hunt, go out and see, and more than what I would, and sometimes in a season in my own home state. And kind of partnered up with this gentleman, and the relationship did not go very well. And it was funny. I had no intentions ever of being an outfitter. Basically, we booked a handful of hunts, and, my very first year of me doing it, guiding and scouting, I absolutely had some giants shot the first year. And, and the locals around, they kind of thought I was a celebrity since I'd been on David Letterman a few times, and I was a game caller, and they kind of warmed up to me, and, they were leasing me some ground. But anyway, like I say, the partnership went cold, and at the end of the year, first year I ever did it, I was beat down and really didn't want to do it again. And so we sat down to talk about the next year's business plan, and I told this gentleman, he's like, "Doug, what do you think? Next year, do it again?" And I told him, I said, "No, I think I'll just keep my property and just come up here and continue to hunt personally." And he said right there and made the statement. He said, "Well, good." He said, "Because if you continue to outfit, I will put you out of the business, and I'll make sure these locals don't lease to you."
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. I couldn't believe it. Here's a guy I'd been with many, many times, and I became an outfitter at that very moment. I leaned back in my chair, and I said, "You know what?" I said, "I've never had any intentions of continuing to outfit." I said, "But no one's going to give me an ultimatum like that." I said, "I will continue to outfit, and I will show you just what I can do." And, here we are 14 years later.
Wow. Well, man, that's a rough start for sure. But yeah. What an inspiration for you to get out there and get after it with a challenge like that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And it's been always that. I just wanted to prove a point. And we've got right at, we're 16,000+ acres. Our lodge is one of the finest facilities.
Absolutely.
In North America. There's 12,500 square feet. I've got a local girl here that is, which you've been out and experienced it yourself. She's an unbelievable cook.
Yep.
And, the thing about Illinois that separates, I think from a lot of states is it's archery only, predominantly for the entire year. And then there's only 7 days, realistically, that, a non-resident that is not a youth can, shoot at an antlered buck with either a muzzleloader or a slug gun. So, there's no rifle, so basically being, archery only. And, I'm here in what's referred to as a golden triangle. I have ground all in brown, northeast pike, southwest scholar. So I'm just dead in the crease of where all the big creeks and river bottoms and CRP and just, nasty undulated timber that, houses and holds some of the best genetics in the entire, United States.
Oh, no doubt about it. I mean, I know, if I recall right, in the last, I think 6 years or 7 years, you guys have shot like 6 or 7 200-inch plus deer. Is that correct?
We have, I think, and I may be missing one or two. I mean, they start to run together. 6 seasons, I think we've had 7 deer grossing over 200, 8 in the 190s, 5 in the 80s, and 17 in the 170s. I think that's the math. And just at 50 in the 160s in 6 seasons, and that's primarily with a bow.
Yeah, that's tremendous. I mean, that just doesn't happen. And this is not fenced, folks, for those of you who are listening and wondering. This is open range, free ranging animals.
No doubt, yeah. Most people don't believe, and most people when they go to our web or either see us at a trade show, the first question is, are you guys high fenced?
There's no doubt.
They have a hard time a lot of times believing that there's this type of free range quality.
Well, what are some of the things that you're doing in order to manage this game and for quality management in order to produce these kind of bucks?
Well, the deal I like is number one, I do have a decent amount of contiguous acreage. For me, honestly, I like multiple farms. I mean, an 80-acre farm may not seem like a lot, but you can take and manicure an 80-acre farm and just let it sit. You don't have to touch it until it's the right time. Large contiguous pieces, you have to be on it at all times. You're worried about which direction you're throwing your wind, your ingress, egress. It makes it difficult. So for me, I have many farms, and being scattered like that, on a main rut week, if we got 65, 70 different farms, we may only use 10, 15 farms. I got 55 farms plus or so that's just sitting.
Right.
And that's just, I mean, it's really not rocket science. I mean, it is just, age and no pressure. I mean, our deer really only get hunted just a brief window, in an entire season.
Yeah, and that's key. I mean, because you're getting age and you're getting a lack of pressure. And like you said earlier about the fact that it's primarily bow hunted really is a special situation. And that's one of the things that makes Illinois so special and what makes Illinois Connection so special. Doug, tell me this. Why would one of our listeners want to come and hunt with you rather than some other organization out there? Give us some reasons.
Well, there's several things. Number one, we're a family-based environment. This isn't commercial. There's not a lot of partners. And, it's really personal. I'm not the typical outfitter that comes in and collects your money and then walks out the door. I mean, I physically bunk, as you know, and stay right there in the camp with all my hunters.
Sure.
And then the other thing is you're not just considered a number here. Unfortunately, as you know, it is hunting, and not everyone is going to harvest a deer. But we give it all of our effort, to try to, for someone to harvest a deer. And, we're very strict on the wind. I mean, I don't care, what type of scent cover you might be using or doing whatever. I mean, I'm very strict on that. We just do a lot of measures that, separate us above and beyond, and the fact that, for one key is, the season starts October the 1st. Typically when the season starts, I only may have 2 or 3 people on 16,000 acres. And then I really don't have another camp until all the way to the end of October. We'll run a small handful of youth, early in October on a 2-day, youth hunt. And then after that, my ground sits. And, we'll target, the latter Halloween week all the way until about November the 23rd. And then we'll shut down. We'll shut down for Thanksgiving holiday, and our ground, 10 days in November, just sits. Even when everything is going on, there is no hunting. And then we'll have 2 small muzzleloader hunts, a 4-day, 3-day, and that ends typically in the middle of December. And then from there, we're done. There's nobody through late December and nobody through late January. So realistically, I mean, there's just a brief window that we're in and out of our property. So, a lot of our deer are unpressured. They know where safe ground is. We just can't cover it. I mean, we've got right out 1,000 stands is up, on a rut camp. I mean, you can't see it all.
No doubt.
It's impossible.
Yeah. And I can verify the 1,000 stands. There's just so much ground and so many stands that they have. And Doug, your company's just so well organized. Do you have any last minute spots available right now?
I do. Unfortunately for me, we're in a tough economy as we have been for years. And, I have a really, really big corporation that's been hunting with me for years, and it's a good thing they had going on. It was an incentive program for their clients. And, they booked a handful of archery hunts and some lake muzzleloader hunts and everything like that. But just recently, their company was acquired by a new owner and cut the hunt budget. So at the last minute, I've got a handful. I've got some prime November 15th to the 19th archery hunts that take a couple of years to book, and they're available right now.
What is the cost on that hunt, Doug?
Typically on the 5-day deal, it is $3,800. That's meals, lodging. Of course, we have the open bar package, for the full amenity, not that it's not, a Christian-based environment. I mean, it's kind of funny, we'll have preachers in camp, but they'll be the first ones to get a glass of red wine, to sit back and relax. It's there for the completer. But this last minute like that, I'd probably be willing to make some restitution to help someone be able to come out and experience what we actually have.
How do they get a hold of you, Doug, if one of our listeners wants to book a hunt with you right now?
They can do it either way. They can call me personally on my cell phone, or they can contact me via email through my website. The web is IllinoisConnection.com, all one word, IllinoisConnection.com, or if they forget that, IllinoisBowhunting.com. You can contact me that way, or Matt, as you have my personal phone number, if you want to, put that out there, I'd be glad to have them contact me that way. I'm very personable.
Absolutely. Folks, you can contact me at matt@JourneyHunts.com, and I'll be glad to get you hooked up on the phone with Doug at any time. Doug, any last points for our listeners about how they should choose an outfitter? I mean, we've talked about your outfit because I've been there and I know the quality of it. Any just basic information for how they choose an outfitter?
Sure. Several things. One, I think every outfitter needs to have a very current reference list. And then that reference list does not need to all be success. For me, if I loaded up just all my success stories, it's going to be great and dandy. I think it needs to be a 50-50, guys that have harvested and guys that have not harvested. That way you can get the flip of the coin as to the ones that did and the ones that did not, and why they did not, and why would you still want to come even though you did not harvest a deer. To me, that is probably the most critical piece. Outside of that, numbers as to how many people's run through their property yearly, years. If they're a very, very reputable outfitter, they should have a portfolio, of great deer. The other thing, how many stands, everything, pressure. I mean, every bit of it should be taken into the effect. And, a lot of people, which they do now, we're in such a social, media-driven environment. There's so many forums, that can, and yourself, those forums can make or break you. So a little bit of research and everything like that, you can actually find a valid outfitter.
Well, Doug, I got to say it's been a pleasure to have you on the show today, and certainly I'm anxious. I think I want to come out there now. I'm ready to go. you had me at hello.
You need to pack up and come this way.
Absolutely. Looking forward to it. It's been a pleasure having you on the phone with us, and of course you've been listening to the Outdoor Journey Show, where life takes you outdoors.
This is the Outdoor Journey Show, where life takes you outdoors.